So have you heard about Amazon Sidewalk? No, they're not selling sidewalks. This is the name of one of their tech products. Welcome to 10-Minute Tech Tips, an HCTC podcast of random technology topics that I think you just might like. I'm your host, Kerry Sutton, and I'm part of the Community Relations and Marketing team here at HCTC. I welcome your comments, so feel free to reach out to me at podcast@hctc.net or give me a call at 830-367-5333. Okay, so one of the things that I want to talk about is the Amazon Sidewalk Project. Kind of a cool name for a technology initiative. So what exactly is it? Well, today, by now, probably everybody listening to this has at least one Amazon product in the house, whether it be a doorbell or Amazon or the Ring, little Ring cameras, Ring doorbells, or they have the cameras, security cameras. They have the little Echo Dots, the shows, an Alexa unit. I mean, there's just all kind of different devices. And we've had these in the house for several years now, just because they're fun to use. Now, who doesn't want to say, "Hey, Alexa, what is the weather in Zimbabwe today?" Like anybody needs to know what the weather in Zimbabwe is. But in case you did, you can find that out just simply by yelling at Alexa. Well, on the same token, you can also use their cameras for security reasons, or just to see what does the weather look like outside if you're laying in bed on a cold winter morning and you don't want to go outside. We use them for convenience reasons because they're fun. They make technology fun. They take fundamentally boring tasks and they make them exciting. Well, Amazon has cranked up the volume, I guess, cranked up the temperature, if you will, just a notch on this. And what we all didn't know was all those devices had a 900 megahertz spectrum radio inside all these units. Okay, still means nothing to anybody. Well, 900 megahertz is an unlicensed spectrum radio that it's a low power, long range radio that can be used for things like you've seen the dog collars that you put them on, and if they leave your yard, you can track them through the neighborhood. Or those little square tile trackers that you can put on your car keys, or I guess you could put one of those on your dog if you wanted to. But they connect wirelessly back to the tile node, and then you can get on your phone and find out where this thing is. There's all kind of various things like that. Well, the Sidewalk project turns on a radio, and it creates somewhat of a mesh network. You think of a mesh, think of a spider web. You can look and see all the different the connectors of the web, and that's where the strength of the web comes from, is because you have all these intricate little parts and pieces all connected to each other. Well, the Amazon Sidewalk project kind of does the same thing. It creates all these wireless bridges between all these different devices. So if your dog gets out of your house, he doesn't have to only connect to your network. He can connect to your neighbor's network or somebody down the street that maybe you haven't even met yet. But the Sidewalk project will allow all these different devices to talk to anybody else's device. Now, obviously, your cameras are not going to roam the streets, but your dog sure might. And if that happens, you're going to want something like this to try to find out, where he is. Well, when this came out earlier this summer, a lot of people were not expecting it, and a lot of people kind of freaked out, to put it mildly, because of the age we live in today, where everybody wants to be very careful of their own data. They kind of want security is always a very protected, a very personal thing, and so people don't want to just share their Wi-Fi with anybody, especially people that they don't even know. Well, the Amazon Sidewalk project says that customer privacy and security is a number one concern to them. So which sounds funny, being that they're sharing your wireless network with anybody and everybody in your neighborhood, but yet all these packets are encrypted, and so Amazon is not able to read the data passing through them. They can read just enough to know who the data goes to. For example, Tile or a Ring doorbell. They know who to pass the information to make sure that that information gets to the right vendor. But they can't read the data, and then your data cannot be read by the other homeowner if they are reading a tile or reading your dog or reading maybe a phone or something else you have from Amazon. They're not able to read that data. So the security and privacy is still paramount to them, even though your data is being shared. I know that's kind of hard to get your head around that, and I had to think about that a couple times through before I was able to believe it and kind of swallow it. But that's what they're saying. So what's the big deal about this? Well, there's two schools of thought on this. Number one, there are those out there that just say absolutely under no circumstances do I want anybody on my network who I don't already approve. That's why we have security passwords on our SSIDs and on our Wi-Fi at our house, or even a business. You sometimes it may be open, like if you go to a coffee shop, you have to ask them for the password. They'll happily give it out to you, but yet they still want to know who's on their network. And then there's other people that say, hey, you know what? In the essence of let's all work together and let's all help each other out, share your Wi-Fi with everybody and don't worry about it because we can all trust Amazon. Well, both of those schools of thought may be kind of on extreme ends. And I think the truth is kind of somewhere in the middle. And the truth of that is actually, what are you comfortable with? So to make sure that I'm telling you this right, all of your devices that had these 900 megahertz radios in them, they automatically have been turned on back in June by Amazon. Amazon did this automatically. The default for these devices is to be turned on. If you don't want to share this information, you have to go into the device and go through the several different layers of menus and tell it, turn off my Amazon Sidewalk data or my radio. Not all devices are probably listed the same. So you can probably go to YouTube and look up, put your device and say, how do I turn off Sidewalk? And it will go through a list of steps for you. But you have to physically turn your device off because it's automatically turned on. Nothing to panic about, but if it's something you don't want on, go find out how to turn it off and just turn it off. Amazon, in their defense, they're not trying to be, they're not trying to create this worldwide security breach. This is nothing nefarious. This is them trying to make their product better, which, capitalists, you can't, you have to appreciate when a vendor wants to make their product better. However, sometimes they do it in a way that we don't always appreciate. So I'm divided on this. Probably years ago, I would have said, hey, absolutely not. I don't want anybody on my network that I don't automatically approve of. But now, today, if my dog gets out, I'm really going to be hoping that somebody has an Amazon Sidewalk device turned on, because if I use the tile trackers or the animal trackers on my mutt, I want to know where this dog is. And so that's the best way to find it. And it also could be your car keys. If you walk on the block every evening and you drop your car keys in someone's yard and you have a tile tracker on your car keys, there again, you can go to an app and find out where your car keys are, and you can locate them by having all this. So there's a lot of good in this, even though, yeah, it looks a little shady. What else do I need to tell you? Well, there's no way I can go through all the details about this, but you can go to you can go to YouTube and you can search for Amazon Sidewalk and you can find pretty much anything you want to know. There's 100 people out there saying this is the work of the devil, and there's 100 people out there saying this is the best thing since sliced bread. So you can choose what flavor of opinions that you want to research, and it's out there. So I'm trying to stay somewhere in the middle, going, this is what's there. If you have an Amazon device in your house, it is communicating with your neighbors as we speak. And that's how this works. So, give us a call if you say, "Hey, I don't want this. I don't want anything that I'm not aware of." Just call me or email me to the email here, the podcast at hctc.net, and say, "Hey, can you help me fix this?" And we'll be glad to do it. So, as always, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you next time. This podcast should not be copied, distributed, published, or reproduced either in whole or in part without the express written consent of HCTC. Nothing said here is to be taken as financial, medical, or security advice. Any inquiries relating to the podcast should be directed to the Manager of Community Relations, that's me, at podcast@hctc.net. And as always, consult a fully licensed and trained professional for any specific technology concerns that you may have. Thank you.